So one of the things people remember from her run for president, which was disastrous, she got no support, was on stage at one of the debates, she called Joe Biden a racist. She accused him of being a racist.
I'm going to now direct this at Vice President Biden. I do not believe you are a racist, but I also believe, and it's personal, and I was actually it was hurtful to hear you talk about the reputations of two United States senators who built their reputations and career on the segregation of race in this country. And it was not only that, but you also worked with them to oppose busing. And, you know, there was a little girl in California who was part of the second class to integrate her public schools. And she was bused to school every day. And that little girl was me.
And I actually didn't realize this until I read the refresher in your book, that he was actually offended by this for obvious reasons, but also because he had been pretty good to her. He had considered her a friend, and it was a personal backstab. I mean, it was low. It was a low personal blow. It wasn't just politics. At least that's how he saw it.
Yeah, Kamala was friends with Beau Biden, and so she had a relationship. She went to his funeral, and Beau Biden was really an important part of her relationship with Joe Biden. And certainly she made that, leveraged that to her advantage. And for her to sort of turn on him really personally hurt the president, but most of all hurt hurt Joe Biden. And she was not happy with it. And certainly behind the scenes, any friend of Beau, any member of the family was furious at Kamala for sort of deploying this clearly calculated attack on Biden. And it was the reaction was very fierce.
And nonetheless, he made her his running mate, which, I mean, truly, everybody was stunned by, because that moment went viral in the campaign when she called him a racist. And then he turns around and makes her his running mate. So that was pure identity politics. I mean, the way you write about it in the book, he was truly just checking a box. He had promised Clyburn he'd do it. He did it. And before you know it, he's stuck with her. But the way I read the story from you, he's never really embraced her. He kind of checked the box, moved on. It doesn't seem like a very good relationship.
Yeah, when they first were inaugurated and when they first won the election, they did these interviews with people like CNN and Jake Tapper, and they'd really try to sell this version of how close they were, how personally tight they were, how they were going to work as true partners in the White House. But wow, when they got to the White House, what a change. It seemed like Biden's top advisors had little to do, didn't necessarily want anything to do with her. Biden barely had lunch with her in the beginning. And certainly as things got more contentious, they had fewer and fewer lunches. And Kamala was kind of pushed aside and to sort of fill these boxes for Biden when he needed her. But she certainly wasn't a true partner as he promised.
You write about how he's literally kept her masked. During the COVID events, when he had to give a speech, she'd be in the back of the room masked. She'd be like his little nanny trying to say, like, don't forget to pull up your mask. And never really wanted her to play a front and center role. But he has given her some toads, at least toads for Democrats, like, hey, you'll be in charge of root causes of immigration. If Trump said that to a VP named Vivek Ramaswamy, we'd get something done. But in the Biden administration, which has no desire to do anything about immigration, to make her the front person on immigration is to humiliate her.
Yeah, after she was appointed, to address the root causes, she was furious at the idea when Republicans sort of ran with the idea that she was the immigration czar. So she took every chance available to be like, I'm not the immigration czar. This is not my issue. I'm just focusing on the root causes. And when she went to Guatemala, she was set up to deliver the message like, do not come, which angered a lot of progressives. But wow, ever since she sent that message, it seemed like everybody's coming at this point. So it really
kind of backfired. Yeah, like do the opposite of what she says. Yeah, it's a serious problem. And whatever she's done, it hasn't done a single thing to help. It seems to have only hurt. You write about in the book, not only her frosty relationship with the president, but also the first lady. So is that all a hangover from when she called Joe a racist? The problems with Jill?
Yeah, I think it is. She famously writes in her own memoirs, Jill writes in her memoirs that she's able to forgive, but she will never forget. And you definitely see that kind of take place as they have events together. Look, on the surface, they're gonna share the warm rhetoric and praise each other and praise everything that they're doing. But behind the scenes, you certainly don't see that kind of friendship developing between the first lady and the first woman vice president. There's no power of the sisterhood. There's no connection there. It's very much you are here, you serve my husband, I will appreciate you, but I don't think I'm necessarily going to fall in love with you as someone, as a pal,
Yeah, I don't have to like you. What happened when they both wanted to go to Ukraine?
Yeah, this is very interesting. Back when everybody was sort of all the leaders were trying to rush to Poland to demonstrate their support for Ukraine. Jill Biden and her team were planning an event to go during her spring break because Dr. Biden's teaching at a community college, so she wanted to spend spring break going to Poland. Well, it turned out Kamala Harris had the same idea, and Kamala ended up winning out that race. So not to be outdone, later Joe Biden actually went to Ukraine for Mother's Day, met with the First Lady there, and sort of one-upped her in this sort of, maybe it's not a complete power struggle, but there's a little bit of behind-the-scenes competition there.
Is there any chance, based on what you've written and researched, that he wants to or would find a way to get her off the ticket on his reelection bid?
Yeah, I think he's stuck. I don't think that he personally is ready to move. He remembers how insulting it was when Obama was sort of shopping this idea of replacing him on the ticket with Hillary. So he'll never publicly say that, or never even behind the scenes. He's not even going to tell his advisors that. He does not want that to leak. If anything like that leaks, that's devastating because he can't get rid of her, because if he does, it's admitting he made a huge mistake. And it'll also it's a very political decision made on identity. So he'll also anger all those constituencies he was trying to, help and promote simply by putting her on the ticket.
She has according to the latest USA Today Suffolk University poll, which was late in December, she has an approval rating of 33%. Disapprove, 57%. That's even worse than his. Does she have delusions that she actually could run for president and win?
Well, that's the point of the book, is like, maybe she doesn't have to run for president again, right? If Biden wins re-election, there's a very good chance she could be the next president without having to go through another election, not having to go to Iowa, where she was so miserable spending her Thanksgiving in Iowa. And she won't even have to do that anymore because it's now in South Carolina. But there's a very good chance that she never has to run for election. She'll just be the next president if Joe Biden steps down.
True or false? Using your tax refund to pay off credit card debt is smart. False. Donewithdebt.com published a strategy designed to let you keep your hard-earned tax refund and reduce or eliminate credit card debt. Doesn't that sound better? Most Americans owe thousands in credit card debt. That'll take years to pay off. Been there, if you ever do it. Done with Debt found that filing bankruptcy is usually not the answer, and taking out loans to pay off those credit cards usually increases debt. When you engage Done with Debt, their legal experts and skilled negotiators take on the credit card companies for you. Their winning strategies are designed with one goal: solve your debt situation quickly and permanently. First things first, though, chat with a Done with Debt strategist and explore your solutions. Some debt fighting strategies are time sensitive, so you're going to need to move quickly on this one. For a free consultation, visit donewithdebt.com. That's donewithdebt.com. Hey, thanks so much for watching. If you like what you just saw, hit the subscribe button for more clips and full episodes.